something else you really need to focus on is the joints. So if you were to lay a bedding mortar on this and then just put your stones on top of the bedding mortar, it would be a different aesthetic. It wouldn't be wrong, it would just be, I think, what is the poor relative to this very close, tight masonry work. And to get a tighter masonry work, you need to put it in layers, dry. You don't have any mortar at all, you just put it in dry to start with. When you're happy with those layers, you then back mortar, and that's where I'm going to show you how the back mortar works. So we've got a mortar here which is quite fluid. That's far more fluid than you would ever really use, but I need it to be like that. And that goes in on the back there, and you just slightly lift that masonry unit, just gently consolidate that into all the crevices, and you'd go along and you'd do a layer and then when you're happy that all the mortar's been vibrated through, you then take a level, a short level and or a mortar board, and you can then start to level those up to these through bricks. They can be a through stone or a through brick. So this is a brick that ties that inner skin to this outer skin, and they're quite important. And you'll see there's a number of these in the wall, and they go all the way through. That's like a tie, if you like, a brick tie. But in this case it's a stone tie. So just make sure that your masonry unit's level with that. You have to carefully remove that, and that should stay in place. And what you've got there is a level. And you can check it between your units, and you can see if you want to level across there from one unit to the other, which we know is our outer face, that fits with the stone. If you're left with any large gaps afterwards, you can put in what we call gallets, which are these smaller stones that you use just to fill the joints. So if there is a big joint, you can just tighten it up with the use of gallets, which is just chips of stone. And you can see that the overall effect is quite interesting. You've got all the shadow lines which add to the depth of the masonry unit. You've then got the choice of deciding whether to point that, which you can point that with a lime mortar, because lime is a better colour. Here I've used a cement mortar, but that's because it's new build. But your pointing can be done in a 116 or a hydraulic lime, possibly even an air lime, depends on where you are in the country and what the exposure rates are. All of the joints can be pointed, or you can leave it just like this and go for those deeper shadow lines, which gives you a more three-dimensional aesthetic to the wall. Just a few tips on how to work with these stones. Because they're random shapes and sizes, you might find it difficult to get them to fit so tightly. So what I do is I'll just pick up a stone and I'll keep trying it in various places, and I'll decide where it can go, and eventually, if you keep turning the stone, you will find a place where it fits, and we call that locking. So suddenly the stone locks into place. So if you find you've got a stone that's rocking and you just want to steady it, you take a chip of brick or stone and you put it at the back, and that's called a pin. You just pin it from the back, and that will just hold it in place until you can get your mortar in there. You can leave the pin in there or remove it, doesn't matter. And on the front, if you end up with gaps, you can put small pieces of stone in here. They then become known as gallets rather than pins. So the gallets are on the front, they're decorative and they're fillers. You can see there's a gallet there, and these are gallets that have been put in afterwards. Here. But just keep turning those flints until you get them to fit, and you can see they will take the shape of the stones below them. You have to get your eye and your hand in. It takes a while. First of all, it's a very slow process, but once you understand the way the stones lock together, it's a lot easier.